Hi. Our next session is led by Natasha Brandt. Natasha is the Virtual Campus Student Success Specialist at NEO A&M College in Miami, Oklahoma. She develops online resources with a focus on universal design for learning and digital accessibility aimed at improving the online student experience. Natasha is also the co-chair of the Cole Accessibility Committee and serves on AbleTech's advisory council. She has experience in differentiation, student success and well-being, and online learning, spanning education, athletics, and public health. She's passionate about creating an inclusive and supportive environment for all students, and her session title is Make Your Emails Accessible for Everyone.
Hey, thank you, Yasminda. Try and share my screen. I've had a few screen sharing technicalities this morning, so hopefully we will be okay. All right. So yeah, like Yasminda said, we're going to talk about making your emails work. I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet because we are getting to the home stretch of our virtual conference today. So I know it's taken a toll on you getting to 4 o'clock. Okay, like Yasminda said, I work in the Innovation Center at NEO, and we are just going to talk about a few things today that I see frequently in emails that can be easily addressed. So our session objectives are going to be identifying those common issues that we see and applying some practical fixes that we can use when we're drafting emails, and then creating accessible emails and signatures, and we'll have a little hands-on there. And then hopefully you'll be able to leave with some tools and some resources. So we're going to take about 30 seconds to look to see what is wrong with a draft email that I've prepared. I'm just going to try and switch screens. It wasn't wanting to comply earlier, so can you see my email, Yasminda, or is it still the slide?
We can see it.
You can see it. Okay, you see my draft email, correct?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, it's not showing my end. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through, and there's a couple of things that you won't be able to see because they're invisible issues, but I'm going to roll my cursor over it and we'll have a look. So we've got the flyer coming up there. It's kind of big, but I've seen them bigger. Scrolling down to my signature. I'm going to change quickly back to my slide. I'm sorry, this is a little slow process. It wouldn't show it to me in, it wouldn't allow me to switch with it in the presentation. So I'd like to see in the chat if any of you noticed any of the accessibility issues in that email, and just see what we have. I can't see the chat though, Yasminda, so if you could keep an eye on that for me.
Yes, so we're getting the font is difficult to read for some, font color contrast
Yeah.
on the flyer. Not sure if there's alt text because that would be invisible. The click here is not specified. It should probably just say register here or something.
Perfect. Okay, so I think you spotted them all. So the first one is, it is an image only flyer. There's no email body talking about what is in the flyer at all. There was low contrast and poor font choice. An unclear subject line, and that is super important as well for accessibility, that we know what exactly this email is describing. There's a click here link, which we don't recommend. And the signature was also an image. And I know that was a little hard to see being an observer and not being able to move your own cursor around in it. So the image also had no alt text as well as the signature. So what to fix and why it matters. And so we've just listened to Madison talking about the screen reader, which is extremely important. The mistakes that we see repeatedly in emails are flyer-only emails, just completely inaccessible, no alt text. Maybe the description is okay, but there's no content at all readable by a screen reader or even by immersive reader. It will just pull up blank. And then no alt text on images, which means obviously visually impaired users miss it. Poor contrast and cursive fonts, we had both. So that would be poor contrast within any flyers and also in any text in the body of the email. And it's okay to attach a flyer as long as you have all the details in the body of the email, and the flyer makes it more interesting. So, but I'm often seeing that they are just images and they have no alt text or no description. So that makes it really hard for many users to see. And then unclear text links is another one of the things that I'm seeing really often, and they confuse assistive tech. So there's no description of where the link is going. So that's super unhelpful. Image only signatures is more common than I thought. And the name and the title, contact information, phone number, email, they're not copyable for you to paste into another email if you wanted to reply to that person later or save it. And then again, no subject line or the poor heading structure. So that again is difficult for screen readers, and it will the heading structure will make the screen reader jump around. So we are going to go back into the email for a bit of a live demo here in just a second. And we're going to try and make it accessible. So all those, we've come to narrowed this down to 6 steps that you can think about every time you're doing your email. It's not too much to think of. Making sure when you first start, your descriptive subject line is there. You're copying any content from the flyer into the email body, and then adding alt text to any remaining images, using your accessible fonts and high contrast colors, a clear descriptive link if there's a registration link, like for this conference, and creating yourself a text-based signature with your name, address, and title in it that can be selectable and searchable. So, we're going to quickly go back to the email. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see my email draft again. And we'll start with the description line, and it would be as easy as upcoming, if only I could type, upcoming digital accessibility workshop. And it kind of says what it does on the tin. So that makes it a lot easier. And then when it comes to the font, it really is best to just use a easy to read font. That doesn't want to change, I'm so sorry. Like Arial, okay, it's not wanting to change on me, so. I'm sorry about this, causing problems. There we go. So we can choose a nice clear font like Arial. That's going to be much easier to read. And then moving down to the link, we can just go in and add that it is actually the registration link. And then that is much easier for the screen reader to read out for a visually impaired user and take out the low contrast text. So as we move down, this flyer has another catchy little trick in there where it says click here to RSVP, and obviously there's no click and there's no link. So we would want to right click, and then we can add the alt text in here. Cannot spell. And that is not even going to help me because I wasn't spelling properly. And then that is readable. And then I'm not going to remediate the signature because that is completely unusable. We can't select or copy anything. There was no alt text also in this one. So what we will want to do is replace that with a text-based signature. So I'm sorry for all the flip-flopping here. We're going back to the screen. Which I can't find. There we go. Okay, so we've gone through the 6 steps. And then the next part would be an accessible signature. And this is a really basic example. You could have your photo in a small photo or a college logo in your signature. Just make sure that that is accessible by having alt text in it. And then the basics of the email signature here is plain text with the Unicode icons for the email and phone number. So I'm going to have you do a little hands-on activity now. And if you can't do it now, it would be great for us to do it when you get home. But if you can do it now, open up your email signature, either in a new mail or actually in your email signature. I'm not sure if you're using Microsoft or Google. And then I want you to take a look at it and see, is your signature text-based? Not just an image. Does it include clear plain text info? If you do use a logo or a photo, have you got alt text in there? Is the font easy to read and high contrast? And are the icons Unicode text rather than decorative images? So I'd like you to pull up your emails, and then if you can identify one thing that you would change in your own signature to improve accessibility, and then if you would like to share it with the group in the chat, what was one small adjustment that you can make today? So I will let you guys just look at your emails for a second. Again, Yasmindra, I can't see the chat. So if you could see if there was anything in there for me.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I was just doing my email signature.
Oh, that's okay.
So we've got, I added alt text to the school logo.
Okay.
Font type and size. Also added link text to the library website. Had used the blue color for name and the rest is black, but should I change the blue to black? UCO school colors are blue, but should we change the name font to black? Font type, will the screen reader read the icons?
So the screen reader will read the icons if they're Unicode text, as those examples were in the example. Just go back one. These little Unicode icons, the screen reader will read those. Okay. Versus using a decorative image.
And another question, are there standards for font size and font color?
We would recommend for accessibility, no font size is smaller than 9 because it gets really difficult to read. And with regards to the color, that would be dependent on the contrast. So if you're with NEO presentations, I often use the navy blue, dark navy blue font, and that is totally fine as long as the contrast works, and you could use a color contrast checker to check that out. And then there was one more thing. I honestly, I've got time. I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to share this. I'm just going to flip-flop back to my email real quick. And I'm just going to take the alt text out real quick. And add those in. If we go to options on, and I'm just talking from a Microsoft Outlook new on this, we can actually, I've lost where it's gone. I've lost my accessibility check. There we go. So we can check accessibility. So it will bring up that the images need alt text, and it will bring up that the color contrast is too low. But the things that we're relying on a manual check for will be those things like readable font, and our signature. So although it will tell you that it may have alt text in a photo, in an image type signature, that doesn't mean that it's best for accessibility. So we want to consider those 6 practices to make sure that the email is fully accessible, because you would not believe how often I see image only emails that are not accessible at all. So I think the slides just flipped through. So that was short and to the point, I know. I better just make sure we're back on the slides.
Someone
I'm
has
sorry for all
pointed
the
out.
flip-flopping.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Someone has pointed out, and I feel like this might need to be addressed. The alt text needs to be added with every email. Is that even if there's an image in the signature line? This is my question. I'm sorry. I
Okay,
read someone
no.
else's comment, and now I need to know, because if so, I'm
Absolutely.
taking all the pictures out.
Okay, so if you make your signature within the signature part of your email that holds, where you can choose your signature, and you have added alt text to an image, that will stay. If you have a signature that pops up every time you select new mail.
Okay.
So that will hold, yes. And I'm seeing another one. Should a space or something be added between the letters in acronyms to get the screen reader to spell it out? This is kind of one of my bugbears. Is it reads Neo for NEO, and you can try and use spaces or periods in there, and that's fine in the alt text, because for us, we don't see it. So it's a kind of trial and error to see how which works. You can use spaces, you can use dashes, you could use periods, and test it with NVDA and just see how you feel like that reads it out best. So I've used trial and error in several of my things and found dashes have worked best for pauses. So yeah, just see if there's any more questions.
There was a question about Gmail and alt text. Do you know anything about adding alt text images there?
I know Ali covered this quite extensively in Gmail earlier. I don't think I've got the ability to pull up my email and check it. Ali, are you still on?
Yes, I am on.
Would
You
you
can
mind-
add it. However, it's not always static. And so I'm going into it to try it now, but yes, whenever you insert an image, you can always right click and have it. I don't use an image in my signature. Even with Outlook, I have to go in like all the time and rescan it and get it in. But Gmail, I don't usually use a picture in my signature, but you can get a picture in there and add alt text.
Yeah, okay.
As a Gmail user, I can say that anytime you have an image, if you click on it below the picture, there will be several options. One of them is now alt text. You will have to remove the text that says image.png and then add your alt text. And you have to add it in every email unless you have a template created, in which case the alt text on like a banner or a logo will stay each time you pull up the template.
Yeah,
And
I'm
one
seeing lots of-
question that has just come in. Where is the phone icon?
I'm going to pop that in. I think it might be on my the accessible email checklist. I think I included the Unicode icons. I'm just checking. But I will drop that in shortly. And I'm also seeing people add digital badges. And yeah, I see huge email signatures. Mine is pretty long. I don't have any additional images in it except for the Cole logo and my NEO logo. And in New Outlook, it holds the alt text in the images there. So I haven't experienced it dropping, but yeah, it would be advisable if you have digital badges added to your signature that they would all need alt text as well. I'm just trying to scroll through. We have got a lot of questions. Yes, Yasminda, can you see anything that we've missed?
I'm not seeing anything.
Natasha, I
Yes.
think there's one that was missed earlier. So there was a question that I compose messages in plain text so I don't have to worry about weird fonts. Can I do
Yep.
hyperlinks with that?
I'm actually not I actually don't know the answer to that question because I haven't composed them in plain text. So I'm not actually sure whether the hyperlink sticks. I don't know if anybody else has had any experience with that one.
With that same question, Clarissa Anderson put at Natasha Brand, so perhaps Natasha, or I'm sorry, you are Natasha. I thought it was an example, but you're absolutely right.
Okay, yeah, I will be going back to test that out now to see, and then I can answer in the chat while Clarissa is presenting. But if you don't have any more questions, we can have a little break before Clarissa gets on, and I'll check through the questions and try and respond in the chat box. Thank you.